morning, boys and girls. How are you getting on this beautiful Sunday morning? I'm Robbie, of course, your friend and your fluency mentor from EnglishHarmony.com. And in today's video, I'm going to address one particular comment that I received yesterday. If I'm not mistaken, yes, it was submitted a day ago. And I'm sorry, guys, if I can't respond to your comments and queries immediately. You see, I'm a busy person. I have to deal with my customers. I have to create content for two blogs that I have. I have EnglishHarmony.com and AccentAdventure.com, and recently I started EasyIdioms.com, which is a blog where I'm going to be posting my English idiomatic expressions. I'm basically not going to post them on my EnglishHarmony.com blog because I think it's getting too cluttered. There's way too much information for you to take in, so I'm going to publish my articles and videos like this on my main blog, which is EnglishHarmony.com, but all those idiomatic expressions are going to be published on EasyIdioms.com, which is, I think, quite friendly domain name. What do you think, guys? Easy Idioms. I was actually surprised when I went to register the domain name and it was available, Easy Idioms. I would have thought that it's not available. You see, it's quite a catchy name, you know, for a domain, Easy Idioms, and it's very short. And I would have thought that such and similar two-word combinations would have been snapped up a long time ago by domain brokers, you know. But anyway, it's not the matter of this video. I'm going to address this particular comment in this video where a person whose name is going to remain anonymous, of course, anything else would be unprofessional to say the least. Basically, he's raising his concerns as to the effectiveness of spoken English practice and its role in one's language improvement and fluency improvement. Basically, that person says that he's been spending the last 6 months in doing whatever humanly possible in order to improve his English. And he's been engaged in speaking with others for at least 1 hour a day. And still, despite that, he doesn't feel any improvement to his ability to verbalize his thoughts and speak English fluently whatsoever, which reinforces his belief that the key to spoken English fluency is primary education. That's what he says. Yeah, instruction of the English language. English as the language of instruction in school throughout the primary education years, in his reckoning, is the primary reason why non-native speakers have been able to achieve fluency. So basically, he thinks that now he's gone past that stage, there's no way back, and he draws a conclusion in the very end that a second language acquisition is a very long process and slow process. Okay, let's take all these things one by one. Slow process. Of course it is a slow process. You cannot expect enormous gains to your fluency within a very short period of time. You cannot expect to go from 0 to hero, so to speak, within 6 months. It is a relatively slow process. You know, when I've achieved my own fluency over a number of years, you know, even a year ago, I would have been able to speak the way I speak now. I would be hesitating a little bit more, and my vocabulary wouldn't be as, well, let's not use the word proficient, because I'm not proficient by no means, my friends. I'm not aiming for perfection for that matter, but I'm just aiming for conversational fluency. But anyway, anybody's fluency is going to grow, develop, you know, or improve over your lifetime. And I would expect that in about 20 years, I will probably achieve a fluency similar to that of a native English speaker, provided that I would have been speaking with myself and with other English speakers for a very long time during the next 20 years, you know. The more you practice, the better you get at it. It's common sense, you know. Practice makes one perfect, as the old adage goes. But it's not about perfection in my case, you know, and I don't advocate for perfection at all. It's just that it's something that is commonly known, you know. Practice makes one perfect, so it's all about practicing. And it is a slow process, but there's one but, you know, one thing to bear in mind. If you do spoken practice the smart way, it is possible to achieve very good gains in terms of your fluency within a relatively short period of time, and 6 months would have been a quite realistic time frame within which you can actually expect significant gains to your ability to speak fluently. And my guess why this particular person hasn't, I got a new email, a response to one of the emails that I sent to my mailing list. Got me distracted a little bit, so I'm sorry guys for that. You see how busy I am, I'm getting emails as we speak, which is an English idiomatic expression, by the way. So when something happens as we speak, which it means that it happens right now. It's just another way of saying it happens right now. And as we speak is it's not figurative language at all, because we actually speak right now. And this email came in just as we were speaking. Well, it's a monologue. We're not actually engaged in a conversation. It's a one-way conversation, but it's just a way native English speakers would refer to anything that happens at the same time while we're having this conversation. Well, they're having their conversation, whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, that dismisses this email. I'm going to respond to it later on. And there's a few emails in my mailbox, but anyway, let's not drift off the subject, right? So basically, my guess is that if one hasn't felt any improvement to his or her fluency within 6 months' time, then most likely that our daily practice is probably the total amount of time that the person has been engaged with other English speakers. But it's by no means a definite indication of how much that person has been actively engaged in speaking himself or herself. It's all about how much you've been speaking, how long you actually used your mouth. The amount of time that the other person has spent responding to your queries or asking questions or just being engaged in a conversation, that amount of time doesn't count. We might have an hour-long conversation with someone while being actively engaged for only 10 minutes. That's the whole point, my dear friends, That's why self-practice is of the utmost importance, because you'll be speaking with yourself the whole time. Say, for instance, if you do 30-minute long self-practice session, you're going to be speaking for 30 minutes straight. Simple as. Whereas, if you have a conversation with someone else for 30 minutes straight, you might be only speaking for 5 to 10 to 15 minutes during that conversation. I think it's pretty straightforward and understandable, but it mightn't be so for you guys, so please bear in mind, it's all about how long you actually speak yourself on any given day. It has to be done regularly, every day, and personally, I spend hours a day speaking with myself. And if you are under the impression that you would get away with speaking with others for like an hour a day, and then you would expect significant improvement to your fluency within 6 months or so, you're wrong. Maybe you would see significant gains, but maybe you wouldn't. And in this case, this person thinks that there's something wrong with the very concept of doing as much in terms of English improvement as possible, and he believes that it's all about the primary education, and being immersed in the language while you're actually being formed as a person, throughout your childhood, your early teenage years, and into your adolescence. And he believes that once that period is gone, there's no way back. He believes that that is the crucial period during which one's mind is formed. It's kind of similar to that critical language acquisition theory, whereby one believes that only a small child or a child up to the age of 10 or so is capable of learning the second language to a level of a native speaker, and once that period is gone, there's no way back. There's no way that person would speak just like native speaker. Well, The very term, just like native speaker, is very misleading. We don't have to aim for perfection, native-like fluency, or whatever. Forget about those descriptions. You have to be, my definition of fluency is you have to be efficient in the way you communicate with others. And you can be very efficient and speak just about any subject that you have to speak about in your daily conversations, while at the same time making the odd mistake here and there, or hesitating a little bit and then filling those gaps with hesitation filler phrases, and you mightn't actually have a very large and profound vocabulary, but you might still be fluent, because it's all about your own attitude, you know. It depends on how you look at it. If you constantly beat yourself over not being capable of speaking just like native speaker, you never will be content with you as an English speaker. You'll be constantly striving for that perfection, which is mission impossible. It's not actually achievable. It's a good standard, a good benchmark to aim for, but you don't have to hold it in such a high regard that it actually destroys your confidence, you know, which is often the case, you know. But going back to this particular comment, I would say that the entire problem resides within the fact that that person is not focused solely on speaking by himself, you know, on the self-practice factor. You don't have to be speaking with others, by all means. You can do a lot of self-practice, and I reiterate this notion on almost on every blog post and video I'm posting on my blog, you know. It's of the utmost importance to open your mouth and speak. And any single new vocabulary word that you write down, any idiomatic expression and phrase has to be ingrained into your mind by way of speaking. And it doesn't matter if you try to use that new vocabulary and phraseology in your daily conversations. You actually have to do it. Trying isn't good enough. You might as well just write 20 new phrases every day and then kind of read through them a few times and then use one or two of them in my daily conversations, and I might expose myself to the English language 24/7, and I have an impression as if I'm working on my language as hard as possible. And I'm not saying you're not working as hard as possible. It is most likely the case, but it's all about the effectiveness of the whole process, because you have to put a lot of effort in actually speaking out loud. Every new phraseology unit, which is a phrase or collocation or idiomatic expression, whatever, it has to be repeated a few times over. And you have to come up with sample sentences and do role plays with yourself, you know. If you don't have another English speaker at your disposal the whole time, you have to speak with yourself. Well, the whole thing about spoken self-practice, my friends, is that despite my best attempts to hammer it home to you, my dear friends, that it's nothing weird. What I'm doing now is a typical self-practice session. I'm just speaking with myself, but with myself it kind of implies that it's something so weird, it's insane. It kind of implies some mental issue, whatever, you know. Which sane person would speak with himself? It's totally normal, guys. If you want to see development in your fluency, you have to do a lot of speaking. And whether it's unfortunately or luckily enough, self-practice is one of the most efficient ways of achieving that goal of yours, which is English fluency. You know, it's a matter of fact. Either you embrace it or dismiss it, and then if you dismiss it, then you go down the road of the traditional English studies, and then you won't see any development to your fluency. It's simple as. It's either or. Either you engage in a lot of self-practice on top of all conversations you have with others, and during those self-practice sessions you make sure you ingrain all new vocabulary and phraseology into your brain, or you still keep banging your head against a brick wall, trying to achieve fluency by being exposed to the English language, you know, by doing a lot of listening and watching films and writing down phraseology and vocabulary. and then you create a false impression that you do as much as you possibly can, and then you have the odd conversation here and there with others, and then you think, wow, how come that after 6 months I'm still unable to speak fluently? You know, my fluency hasn't improved by a bit, so this whole approach is wrong. Yes, your approach is wrong, and please forgive me for being blunt, but that's the truth, you know. If something doesn't yield any results, and you keep doing the same thing all over again, it is worth rethinking the whole process, analyzing the whole process and seeing what you're doing and what you might be doing wrong and what you mightn't be doing. And what I'm saying is you might not be engaged in enough spoken practice. You know, 1 hour a day with speaking with someone else is not the same as 1 hour a day spent on speaking just on your own. Just the total amount of time that your mouth is open and moving and pronouncing English words, that's the amount of time that counts, you know, my dear friends. And basically that's it. That's the message I've been trying to communicate to you guys for months on end, and from what I can see, I'm still not successful at all times, but thankfully I'm getting a lot of emails in, and you are guys doing a great job, and so many of you are embracing the concept and seeing great developments to your fluency, but some of you are still incapable of wrapping your head around this whole concept, because you still believe that once you do all those things and then you speak a little bit with, well, not a little bit, but you engage with others, that it's all you can possibly do. No, speaking with yourself is so much more efficient, because when you speak with others, you are stressed out a little bit, you know. When you speak with yourself, the stress factor is totally removed. You can speak however you want. You can give your fluency free rein. You can use all imaginable means of expression, and then self-correction is a very crucial aspect. When you speak with yourself, you can always catch yourself making mistakes. You can note things that you haven't been able to say, and then you look them up online. Online is the single biggest source of information nowadays, so I'm not going to be telling you to use dictionaries or whatever. It's all available online. Look things up online and then incorporate them in your spoken self-practice sessions, you know. And then when you speak with others, then you can confidently use all the skill you've gained and developed during your self-practice sessions, and then you can engage with others, you know what I mean. But it's not going to be like speaking with others is the main factor developing your ability to speak, and you only have to go with that. No, self-practice sessions is the single reason why I've been able to achieve fluency myself, and that's what I very warmly suggest you do, my friends. Okay, I hope that this video is going to be at least a little bit helpful to you, and if not, then I'm sorry guys, I can't explain it any clearer than I've already tried, you know. Okay guys, thanks for watching this video, and I hope that this video is going to be of some help to you guys, and see you in another English idiomatic expression video. Bye bye.